Welcome in, everybody, to At the Book. Zach Ewing alongside Jim Derry and Spencer the Guru Urquhart here on Thursday, April the 7th. A glorious day for sports indeed, gentlemen. The Masters going on strong right now. We'll look at the leaderboard here in just a minute. That's a packed leaderboard opening day in baseball. We've got 3 games underway, 4 more to come tonight. It's springtime. It doesn't get a whole lot better than this.
Yeah, for me to be able to come outside and do the show from the beautiful air of Mandeville, Louisiana. It's a nice day here in southern Louisiana, and it's a nice day across the country for all the things going on.
Yeah, and the Masters, as we mentioned, of just a tremendous leaderboard, which we'll get to in a second. Spencer, opening day. I know you're living and dying with every pitch for your Cardinals already.
Oh yeah,
and the Cubs and Brewers also playing. I think the third game is the I almost said the Indians, the Guardians and the Royals.
Oh yeah, it's great to have baseball back, y'all. No doubt about it. It's awesome to see have the live action there with my Cardinals going, Jim's Cubs, the Yankees, Red Sox got postponed, but we still got enough going on for it to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's.
I
almost,
refuse to call them the Guardians, by the way.
Are you going to feel the same way about the Commanders in the fall?
Yeah, I was saying, what's worse, the Guardians or the Commanders?
There'll still be the football team I can live with because it's generic. I mean, they don't get me started. I'm not calling that.
All right. Okay.
We'll have
to live with that.
The Cleveland Baseball Club.
There you go. I'm looking up some live odds for the Masters as we speak and typing them in. But let's go ahead and pop the leaderboard up and take a look at what's happening at Augusta right now. As of this moment, or about 5 minutes ago, this was the leaderboard. Cam Smith had one of the strangest rounds of golf you'll ever see. He double bogeyed one, then just dominated the next 16 holes, 8 birdies in 16 holes, including a stretch on the back 9 of 4 in a row. Got to 6 under, looked like he was padding a pretty good lead, and then he double bogeyed 18. I mean, like, you talk about some terrible bookends to a really good round, Jim.
Yeah, no doubt. 2 through 17, he looked like the best player in the world. Then he kind of choked a little bit. He had a putt on 18 for bogey that I thought he was going to make from about 8 feet and just pushed it a little bit to the right. But he looks pretty good. There's a reason why he was up there among the top 3 or 4 in odds before the week started, and he's going to probably be up there all weekend long.
Yeah, and speaking of guys who are going to be up there all weekend long, you got to think DJ has to love the way his first 10 holes have gone.
Yeah, and I have quite a few names on this list, so I'm pretty happy with my start. Really, they're only about halfway through the afternoon rounds. It's going to be interesting. They got started a little bit late because of some weather, this morning. They got started about 45 minutes late, so we'll see if those afternoon rounds are able to finish. I think they should be able to, but it's been fun. I don't think these scores are just, I mean, that's kind of low for Augusta. 2 leaders at 4 under. You might have one, DJ at 4 under through 10. You may have 5 under before the evening's done. But I wouldn't expect these numbers to stay this low. So, I mean, preliminarily, you're looking at a cut around 3 over, somewhere around there.
Yeah, 3 over, maybe 4 over. But, between DJ, Scotty Scheffler there at 3 under, he's done with his round. Joaquin Neiman, who's off to a good start this year. Cam Smith, you look a little bit further down. Obviously, we need to talk about Tiger. It's a packed leaderboard. It looks like it's going to be a fun tournament. But Tiger, I mean, Spencer, I don't know how much you've watched thus far, but just the fact that he's out there and walking and finished a round under par at Augusta, I mean, I don't know how he's going to fare the rest of the weekend, but it's pretty inspiring stuff at this point.
Yeah, most definitely, Zach. Yeah, I haven't gotten to see too much yet, but I'm going to go back and watch it because it's definitely a historic thing. If he can have a successful run this year and do well at Augusta and the rest of the majors, and he's the GOAT, hands down. Like, sorry, Jack Nicklaus, Tiger. If he can, I mean, he's already the GOAT in a lot of people's odds, but if he could win add another major to his trophy case somehow, it would just be unbelievable.
You got an old hat over here. He may take some exception to you degrading the Golden Bear like that. I don't know.
No, Tiger Woods is the GOAT. There's no question.
Okay.
It's one of the sports where there's no debate.
Okay. I mean, Golden Bear still got more majors and more runners up. Maybe I'm the old
Golden
head.
Bear played in a different era when there were only 15 or 20 golfers that were probably anywhere near him on any given week, whereas Tiger Woods is playing with 50 guys who are good enough to win a tournament. There's a big difference between what Tiger's doing today and what Jack Nicklaus did. Nothing against Jack Nicklaus. I mean, he's certainly probably the second best golfer who ever lived. Nothing against him. But it's a different era. It's a different, I mean, people didn't play golf all year round and lift weights and do the things that Tiger does. So I take nothing away from what Tiger Woods has done throughout his career, and what he's been able to do today is spectacular. But I will say this, I wouldn't get too fired up on what you saw today, because I did notice just watching him the last few holes, he looked like he was struggling to walk a little bit. We're going to see what happens when he goes, and I'm sure he'll have some treatment done. He's going to have to sleep. He's not playing until tomorrow afternoon. He's going to have to go throughout the day in the morning before he tees off. Let's see what he looks like tomorrow, because I think tomorrow is a different day for Tiger Woods. I do think he'll make the cut. He's in a good position to do that. But I didn't necessarily love what I saw as far as betting wise. And I'm not going to bet on him in any way, shape, or form tomorrow.
No. Look, I mean, that number's inflated because part of the problem is all these sports books have been put in a spot where they have enormous liability on him, for especially in outright markets, but also in top 10s, top 20s, things like that. And so you're not going to get any sort of value on Tiger. The odds here, you see him there under the notables, he's at 28-1. I mean, quite frankly, if you look at data golf, he's got like maybe a 1% chance or less of winning this tournament. He should be more like 80 or 100-1.
For sure.
You're not getting any value at all at 28-1. Now, as far as making the cut, that was the one bet I made on Tiger, was to make the cut. And I feel pretty good about that, just from the standpoint of I do think his course knowledge is second to none, obviously. And he's just got this will. I mean, his willpower is like iron fist, right?
I'm not sure if we lost Evan there or Spencer. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, with Tiger.
You're back now, I think, Zach?
Am I? I didn't realize I was gone.
Yep.
Yeah, you were gone
like
for a minute.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, what I was saying is I think he'll gut it through all 4 rounds, but I do think he'll fade on the weekend.
We'll see. I'm not so sure he's going to make the cut. I would put it probably a little better than 50-50. Assuming that let's assume the cut's going to be 4 over. That means he's got to shoot 77 or better. He's better than 50-50 to do that, but I wouldn't go gung ho and say that he's, I wouldn't bet it for less than, if I'm taking the not make the cut, I wouldn't bet it for minus 300 that he makes the cut. I don't think it's that strong that he makes the cut. Again, I want to see what happens the first few. Now, obviously, you won't be able to bet it then, but it's not something you can bet odd. But I want to see what he does the first 3 or 4 holes tomorrow when he tees off in the afternoon. Again, you're talking about going 21 hours after walking 4.5 to 5 miles. Again, I'm sure he's going to stay off it as much as possible. He's going to go get treatment. But you're asking him to do a whole lot. And you're asking a man who's 46 years old anyway to do a whole lot. Interesting moment.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, I know Nick is making a joke there about Bryson DeChambeau, who was awful today, by the way. But there's a lot of waiting
4
around
over.
him.
That 4 over is not awful at the Masters. It's not good, but it's not awful. Awful's like
okay.
6 or 8 over.
Let's throw out the VJs and the guys like that who aren't going to compete, and then 4 over. Just and another guy when you talk about is Justin Thomas. 4 over is, listen. I subscribe to, you can't win it on the first day. You sure as hell can lose it on the first day. And Justin Thomas may have lost it on the first day. He was not good either. One
of the years Tiger Woods won, he shot a 40 on the front 9 on Thursday. You can't really count hardly anyone out today. I mean, and the conditions are going to change. The greens are going to start firming up. They're going to be faster than they even are now. And these scores are going to start dropping. So the guys who are steady, and I'm not so much talking about Bryson, but JT for sure. I mean, if JT has shoots a 68 tomorrow, he's fine. So I mean, I agree. You can lose it on a Thursday, but you got to shoot at the Masters. You got to shoot 5 or 6 over to lose it. In my opinion.
Nick says he can count Bryson out just like he did before the
tournament.
On
the screen.
Hey,
Stop putting him on the screen.
Somebody else leave a comment and we'll put somebody else on. We had a good time on Tuesday. Nick and Spencer and you weren't here, Jim. That was fun.
I saw about 10 minutes of it. That was about all I could stomach to watch.
Man, Nick knew his golf, man. I think I learned a lot from Nick.
Well, and I know you told me to stop putting him on, but I agree with him here. I think JT's done, man. He was 4 over. He could have been 9 over. His ball striking was awful today. Awful. And maybe you say, okay, well, he survived and only was 4 over, but I bet you said the
Patriots were done when they were losing 28-3 in the Super Bowl too.
I probably did, as did most people. And that's conventional wisdom, right?
Right. Well, they weren't done.
Yeah, that was one of those, like, it was hard for me to, like, logically speaking, I was like, yeah, it's probably done, but I don't know. I didn't feel at ease though with it being Falcons Patriots. I was like, something crazy might happen, and sure enough.
Well, one time out of a million, one of these, comebacks happens, and then everybody talks about it for the next 20 years, and it doesn't happen again for 20 years. So yeah. I don't see it for JT. I have money on him too.
Music City Miracle,
but.
I mean, that was less than a million years ago. Music City Miracle was way less than a million years ago. I mean,
but that was a close game. That was just one miracle play.
No, it wasn't a close game. Okay, well, what about you're talking about what about the Bills and who was it? The Frank Reich come back against the Oilers.
The Oilers and the Bills. That was
whatever game that was. Okay, that wasn't a million years ago. Yeah, I'll make a list for you. I'm just saying that to count anybody out the caliber of a JT at this point is just silly. You want to count Bryson?
Well, if you want him,
I mean,
if you want him, if you don't want to count him out, he's at 100-1 down there, along with LSU grad Sam Burns. So have at it.
Okay, I might go put some more money on him.
Okay, all right, 100-1, 100-1. And if you want to, by the way, and you haven't yet, you can go to Caesars Sportsbook. I actually think there's an even better offer up right now.
Yeah, I think they changed the offer.
Yeah, it's a bet $20, get $200 in bonus cash, just like that. So that's even better than bet insurance. Go to NOLA.com/Caesars. We've got that offer up for you. Bet 20, get 200 in bets. And then once you bet through that, you can withdraw it if you want. Even if you just go 50-50 on that, you're going to walk away with more than $100 in your pocket. So pretty good deal. And you can go to NOLA.com/Caesars for that. Moving on to some baseball. We'll check back on the golf toward the end of the show, but it is opening day as well. It's kind of a shame, really. There's no doubt it's a shame because it was all baseball's fault. But the opening day gets pushed. Yeah. Opening day gets pushed back a week, and we it's the same day as the Masters. There's no games on national TV. I think there's one tonight. The Braves and who they play? The Mets and Braves.
Yeah.
The Mets play the Nationals.
No, Mets play the Nationals.
And who do the Braves play? Do they play today?
Yeah, it's the Braves game that's on. Let me see.
Oh, they play the Reds. They play the Reds tonight on
There
ESPN.
we go. There's your opening day lines.
Yeah, it's 7 o'clock.
So, yeah, it's Reds and Braves is your national TV game, which, that's the defending World Series champion opening up at home. That'll be a nice watch.
Yeah, and the Reds are going to be terrible this year. So, I mean, if you take anything away from that, Braves at home, getting their rings, -180. I didn't put it in daily best bets. I put the Cardinals in there, but that's a pretty good bet right there. Braves -180.
I'll take the Reds +160. I'll take the Reds. Okay.
Cards up 4-0, by the way. Tyler O'Neill just hit a 3-run blast.
Yeah, he did.
There you go. I'll take
something. Cubbies took the lead, Jim. They're up 5-3 in the 8th.
How about a 1.6
fishy about that
boys?
Reds line? And my 1.6 po' boy. My Reds, the Reds are. It's interesting because everybody's. Hey, look, the Reds are terrible. They sold off all these pieces. There's more left there than you think. Now, I don't know if they're going to sell off the rest of it. Luis Castillo, Tyler Mahle, all that. But they have some interesting rookies coming up. They have Jonathan.
Ask Reds fans what they think.
Well, of course they're going to be mad because they've sold off a good team. That was almost a playoff team last year. But I'm saying there's more left there than you think.
They've got good young talent, but not anything that's. I haven't. It looked like you took a flash there. Did you flash yourself? I mean, you're not getting enough.
I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeVille.
Okay.
I think it switched cameras on me somehow. That was funny.
I wish you would switch internet connections for you.
I did that too, and I think it's better now.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay, well,
Anyway, World Series odds, which we've looked at a few times. These haven't changed a ton over the last couple of weeks, but it is opening day. We will take a look at them. The Dodgers clearly deserved favorites. I mean, I think we all picked them to have the best record in the league. It's just sort of short odds when you have a 12-team playoff in a 3-game series followed by a 5-game series. It's just going to be really difficult to get through those playoffs, and I don't like 5-1.
well,
No,
they would get a buy. There's a buy.
That's true. Yeah, they'd get
for
the
the
bye
for I think teams 1 and 2. Am I correct? That one
in each league. Yeah, 1 and 2
Yeah,
in each league.
so they don't have to do as much. They still have to go through a gauntlet for sure. I mean, the Dodgers are favored for a reason. I don't even think that's necessarily a bad price. They're head and shoulders better than pretty much everybody else in baseball. I did like the Blue Jays, so their odds. I think a lot of people started betting on them. They were at about 11 or 1,200, and they've creeped up to 900. I've got a ticket on them. And the White Sox at 1,100, I think, is a decent bet as well. I'd stay away from the Yankees. And if you want to go longer, I like the Phillies at 25-1. The Cardinals, if they hit the ball, I think they'll be okay. They have a pretty good bullpen, decent rotation. And if you want to throw a flyer out there, Cubs are 100-1. So just saying.
All right. Did you throw that flyer out there?
I did. I had to. I mean, I couldn't miss that boat.
100 po' boys?
100 po' boys to, I'll bet you 1 po' boy to 100 po' boys. You'll give me 100 po' boys if I win. Sure.
If the Cubs win the World Series, I'll buy you a po' boy a day for 3 months.
Cool.
Okay. Well, you got to drive over here. That's part of the stipulation.
Oh, well, no, gas money was not part of this equation.
Okay. All right.
Gas money was not part of this equation.
We'll figure something else out.
The more I think about this, and I made this pick in the paper this morning and everything, and I hate to say it because I'm not one of these people who loves the Yankees. The Yankees are built for playoff success. They have one of the better rotations, one of the deeper rotations, one of the deeper bullpens. Things haven't worked out for them health-wise the last few years, but if that team's healthy, you know they're going to go get what they need at the deadline. They're going to get into playoffs. I don't think Yankees.
I've heard this song and dance before.
I know. I mean, I get it, but you're taking shots at this point.
It's like betting on Xander Schauffele in golf. It's like, I don't know, pick somebody in basketball. Until they do it, I'm not betting on them.
Yeah, the Yankees, I don't like it because I feel like it's kind of
like
on
the Cowboys.
Lakers. Yeah, the Cowboys, the Lakers. It's just a team that are like, even like the Mets too have gotten juiced up because they added Scherzer or whatever. But I mean, now Scherzer's day to day, freaking DeGrom's hurt. So yeah, I would stay away from those New York teams.
I absolutely am fading the Mets. I'm on their under for the win total. I'm on, but the Yankees, sure. I don't know about the win total, but I think if they get in, they're dangerous because they do have. I mean, listen. Say what you want about Garrett Cole. He's still the guy I'd give the ball in a game 1 situation over just about anybody right now.
Yeah, it's just the rest of their rotation's a little suspect because, I mean, Severino's really injury prone. Montgomery's up and down. And Tyone's kind of hit or miss. They don't really have any super dependable arms outside of Cole.
Until they go get Luis Castillo at the trade deadline or somebody of that ilk.
In the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to cut it for him. He's another one that's a yo-yo.
Yeah. Okay, I'm tired of defending the Yankees. I'm not going to do it anymore. But I am saying, I'm on the record as saying, I actually think this may be a time. Because I think a lot of people are thinking like you guys. Like, hey, they haven't done it in 12 years. They're no good. They're always good. They always spend just as much money as anybody.
I think if you put those same bodies in the uniforms of the, let's say, Tampa Bay Rays, they would be more like 20-1. They're only 12-1 because they're the Yankees.
Yeah, I think the Rays probably are worth a flyer.
I was going to tell you that was the other one that I kind of like is the Rays, and they're toward the bottom. They're 15-1.
I've won money on the Rays a couple years ago when they went to the World Series.
That is a team I'm on the win total over 89.5. So that is, that's where I'm at with that. Let's do some award winners. First in the American League, the favorites, Shohei Ohtani for MVP. Interestingly enough, none of the three of us picked Ohtani, though. I thought it's almost too easy. I wanted to, and I thought, I got to go somewhere else. I went Wander Franco. You guys went Vlad Jr. Garrett Cole, the favorite for the Cy Young. Bobby Whitt Jr., the favorite for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I couldn't go with Ohtani for MVP because I feel like he'll still do well, obviously, but he's due for some regression. Regression's gonna set in, especially with his hitting numbers. And then as a pitcher, he's had never shown the ability to be super durable, and it's a 6-man rotation. Well, if he could stay healthy, he's the favorite for a reason. If he's healthy, he could very well do it again. But I have a feeling an injury is going to pop up at some point.
Not only that, Zach, you talk about the Angels, and I mean, do we expect the Angels to be playoff relevant? Usually, not always, but usually, the guy who's going to be the front runner for the MVP is going to lead his team to the playoffs. And I'm not sure that I don't think the Angels are a playoff team.
10, 12 years ago, I would have thought that was a big factor. It hasn't been, really even going back 20 years to when A-Rod was winning MVPs with some bad Rangers teams. Mike Trout's won MVPs with some bad Angels teams. Juan Soto won it last year for the National. Or no, he didn't either, but he easily could have. Bryce Harper won it for the Phillies, and they weren't a playoff team. So it seems to me that
but they were in contention, though. They were in contention towards the end, though.
Oh, I think the Angels will be in contention, though. I don't know if they'll make it, but they'll be there. They'll be a 500 team. Anyway, I do think if Ohtani stays healthy, there's just nobody who can accrue as much value as that guy. I mean, nobody's doing as much as he is, and so that's why I think it's a safe choice. But I do love Wander Franco. Both of y'all were on Lucas Giolito for Cy Young. It's funny you sent me your list separately, but Spencer, you and Jim, a lot of similar thoughts there.
Fantasy baseball minds, I guess, think alike,
right?
I mean, you just look at the numbers, and I think that Lucas Giolito he's one of the top pitchers, maybe not top pitchers as much as best value in fantasy. I think among the top tier pitchers, and I think the White Sox are a legit World Series contender, and if they are gonna to be that good, it's gonna rest upon Lucas Giolito and Liam Hendricks, in my opinion. And so I think that's why he has a good chance to win Cy Young, especially if you look at them needing the run the same kind of towards the same way that Burns was Cy Young last year and Walker Buehler the year before, because when the voting was made, it looked like I thought the Brewers had an excellent chance to kind of get past the Dodgers and do it. Year before that, Walker Buehler, he helped, when Clayton Kershaw was hurt, he took over as the dominant guy and led the Dodgers into contention for a World Series. So, to me, Cy Young more than MVP, you have to be a big-time playoff contender, not just a wild-card guy. And I think Lucas Giolito could make the White Sox that good.
Yeah, and he's going to have to step up because Lance Lynn's hurt. He's going to miss the first 2 months most likely.
By the way, that's another team I like in futures is the White Sox. At 11-1. I think I got them at 15-1 early in the offseason. The reason I like them so much is they've got the easiest path to get to the playoffs of anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, that nobody else in that division is hardly even trying. I guess the Twins are. But
yeah, the Twins should be pretty good.
The White Sox should walk to that division. Yeah.
But Twins will be okay. That AL Central is going to be an interesting division, but I just can't put any money on the White Sox out of principle.
All right. Fair enough. National League award winners. Now we're speaking Jim's language. Well, I love Juan Soto. I hate picking a lot of favorites, but Juan Soto is the best hitter in the league. And I know the Nationals are going to be garbage, but that guy's so, you want to know my favorite stat? I put it in the paper this morning as well. He has more walks than any player in history through his age 22 season. And that includes a pandemic season that was 100 games less than normal.
Yeah, he'll never break that record because Barry Bonds has got that one sewn up. But, Juan Soto is a great player. But, it goes back to my argument from before. I'm just not sure that a guy from a team that's going to win 58 games or 62 games is going to be in the running for MVP.
Yeah, the NL MVP, I think, very wide open. I was torn on who to pick. I thought about maybe going with Manny Machado, being that Tatis is going to be out and that Machado is going to be a big part for the Padres. But I ended up going with Nolan Arenado because I feel like with the Cards this year, he'll hit a little better. Last year was his first season outside of Coors Field, so he struggled a little bit in the average department. But he's still an elite defender, still an elite power hitter. And if the Cardinals are going to make a playoff run, it's going to be with him leading the way.
What do we think of Seiya Suzuki there, Mr. Cubs fan?
Oh, I mean, I think as a rookie of the year candidate, maybe potentially. I think he's got a chance to do that. I liked what I saw, the little bit I saw of him today. But I just don't know enough about the guy to be betting anything on him. I do like the way he came and embraced the city and embraced the club. And he's already apparently a big hit in the locker room. And but we'll see how it comes. He's facing pitchers that instead of throwing 91, 92 with movement, they throw 97, 98 with movement. We'll see how he fares. Give me a couple of weeks to look at him first.
Yeah, he's
And then
older for a rookie, right?
Yeah, I think he's 30,
he is, and
31.
That's why I like that pick, because I think, we've seen it happen before with Japanese players. They come over and they're obviously more advanced than other rookies. They're not. It's really not even fair to call them rookies, right?
Yeah, I agree.
He's very advanced, and they've won Rookies of the Year before, and so I can certainly see it happening again. You guys, Spencer, you called the MVP race in the National League wide open. I think the Cy Young race wide open. Max Scherzer is the favorite, but he's already dealing with injury concerns. He's almost 40. The two Brewers guys had career years last year. You got to expect some regression. I guess the two Dodgers, Buehler and Urias, you'd consider are strong candidates. I took Carlos Rodon of the Giants as a long shot, thinking the Giants have been a place where pitchers have gone and really had great years. And again, that's an injury concern too.
Yeah, or Logan Webb with the Giants, the young guy, could be really good. But I went with Buehler. I went Walker Buehler. I'm thinking he should be the favorite because he's got all the makings of. I mean, he's already shown elite ability, and he's just going to continue to get better. I don't see any reason why he won't. And Urias is good too, but Buehler is a tad better, and he just seems to be the guy that's next in line to be the ace.
I agree. I mean, I think at that number 900 is a fantastic price for Walker Buehler, and Urias is going to have to win it from him. But as far as, again, we go back to the best team, I think it matters more in Cy Young than it matters in MVP. So the Dodgers already have a leg up, and I think until Urias takes that spot from him, Walker Buehler is the best pitcher on that staff, and he's one of the top 3 or 4 or 5 pitchers in baseball.
I'll tell you one surefire way awards have changed from the more traditional, like, hey, it has to go to a good team. 10 years ago, Julio Urias is the reigning Cy Young Award winner. He went 20-3 last year. Even 10 years ago, that means something. Now, I don't even think a lot of people realize he was 20-3 because the win as a stat people just don't care about except for fantasy baseball anymore. He went 20-3 and was like 4th in the Cy Young voting. I mean, that even 10 years ago, he would have won it running away.
Yeah, people have woken up as far as that. Corbin Burns didn't have a whole lot of wins, but yeah, when you looked at the numbers, he was, had a better body of work.
I don't know that I feel the same way that you guys feel, but I mean, he plays in the Dodgers, so wins are going to be inflated anyway. But I will say this: I wish they would change the wins to only. You don't have to pitch through 5. I think you should have to pitch through 4 to qualify. With the way that it is today and the way that the game has changed, because so many pitchers, they may have a great outing, but they may pitch 82 pitches, and for some, especially early in the season, the first month of the year. I mean, we watched today, and Corbin Burns was taken out, I think, after 86 pitches. Kyle Hendricks had one guy on. The Cubs are up 3-1 in the 5th, and he's a guy that can go 110 usually anyway. He got yanked after 82 pitches with just a man on with 1 out. So it's a different world that we live in today, whether you like it or not. I personally don't. So I don't necessarily – I get where you're coming from. The wins are definitely worth less than they used to be, but they're still worth something in my book, because you need to be leaving a game with the lead, in my opinion. And to get a win, you have to do that.
I mean, so much of that depends on run support, though, too. I mean, you could leave with a 5-4 lead, or you could leave in a 1-1 game, and you're not getting the – I mean –
same as a quarterback. You could throw perfect passes if they're not out. I mean, whatever. I mean,
quarterback wins are worse than pitcher wins.
But I'm just saying, people love to go by numbers and stats and see what they see on a score sheet of anything. I disagree. I think the better you pitch, the more you're going to have your team behind you, and for the most part, not always. It doesn't always work that way. But the best pitchers seem to me to have the best support most of the time. And there's something to that, in my opinion. But again, I will agree that the win is less. It is less valuable than it was, let's say, 10 years ago. It's certainly less than that. No one's going to get 300 wins ever again.
Well, no, that's we can agree on that. Quick check of the Masters leaderboard before we move on. And Cam Smith, Sung J M with an eagle on 13, and Dustin Johnson now tied for the lead at 4 under. And the next group at 3 under, Danny Willett, Joaquin Niemann, Scotty Scheffler have finished, and Will Zalatoris at 3 under through 11. So that is where they're at right now. And at 2 under, you have Jason Kokrak, Corey Connors, and Brooks Koepka. So
got a bunch of those.
Good leaderboard, like I said. Good leaderboard. Again, still some only a little more than halfway through round 1. So still early on. Let's bring Devin Jackson back from backstage. He's been lurking back there, and enough of our tomfoolery. Devin is here to talk a little bit of Pelicans. Pelicans play tonight. 17-point favorite. I mean, you just don't see this in the NBA. 17-point favorites over the Portland Trail Blazers. They're into the play-in game. In fact, we found out today that will be 8:30 p.m. on Wednesday, next Wednesday, against the Spurs. The question, Devin, is will the Pelicans be hosting that game? They've got to stay ahead of the Spurs. They're 1 game ahead of them with 3 games to go. And obviously being 17-point favorites helps you out.
Absolutely. I think the Pelicans are in a good spot right now to be able to host a game next week. I think they'll win tonight. I know they got a game against the Warriors, I believe, on Sunday, so that's going to be a tough one. But we'll see if the Warriors
on Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, Memphis on Saturday. But we'll see if the Warriors are going to roll out their stars, or they may decide to rest up for the playoffs. I'm not sure if they're locked into their spot or not, but I think they have a good shot too. They played well against Memphis this year, with everything going on with the team, and I think they understand how important it would be for the organization moving forward to be able to host a playing game and a chance to play the likely, I would think probably the Clippers or whoever ends up losing out of that game. But I think it's a good opportunity for them to be able to host a playoff game or playing game and show people that, you should take basketball serious here in New Orleans. So it's another step in the right direction. And I think it'll be huge for them to be able to host a game next week.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely the goal right now. You host. Plus, I saw the record earlier this week: 6-32 or 6-34 in their last 40 games in San Antonio. I know it's not the same guys, but that place has been an absolute house of horrors for the Pelicans. So, if you can, you try to get that game at home for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, you don't have to go over there and have to deal with Pop. They're not the most talented on paper, but they're very well coached. So it'll be tough, but thinking the Pels should be able to pull through.
Jim, you get a 17-point line in the NBA, you almost have to take the dog, right? I mean, just out of principle.
Nope, I'm taking the Pelicans. Took them in daily best bets today. It was 16 at the time on FanDuel. It was 16.5 on Caesars, so I don't know what it is on FanDuel now, but I think the Pelicans cruising this one. They realize what they have to play for, what's in front of them. They, like Spencer said, they do not want to go to San Antonio. They will if they have to, but they got this in their hands and they're in a good spot. After the Trailblazers, like Devin said, you're playing a Memphis team without Ja and really for not much to play for. They pretty much got the 2 spot locked up, so they don't have much to play for. And I think you're going to see the Pels want to gain as much momentum as they possibly can going into playoffs. I think they win big tonight. They might win by 25 or 30.
That line has ticked back down to 16.5 just now, by the way. So if you do like the Pels, you can get it at 16.5. And by the way, San Antonio is 7-point dog in Minnesota tonight. So if the favorites win, which San Antonio upset Denver on Tuesday. But if the favorites win, the Pelicans will have a 2-game lead with just 2 to go. On the Spurs, they would need just 1 more win out of those last 2 or 1 more Spurs loss to clinch the home game next Wednesday. NBA Finals odds. For the first time, you will notice the Los Angeles Lakers are missing, guys. They finally took them off the board now that they're mathematically eliminated.
Yeah, it's about time. Yeah, it's been a disaster all year with them with West Brick and company. They need to get them off of there because we're not getting it done. And I still can't believe the Nets are 6.5 to 1. Man, the Nets are just. I'm sorry, that is just such bad value. It seems like we ran about that every show when we pull up these NBA title odds, but I guess people keep betting on them because they're still up there. It's crazy.
This just in: the Lakers are plus 350 to win the championship next year.
The sad part is, they may be. I mean, like they'll go get some other aging superstar, and it'll be like, they added, I don't even know who, Jimmy Butler. They're 3.5 to 1 now. Like, Jimmy Butler's probably a bad example because he's not over the hill. Oh God,
Damian Lillard.
Let's not trigger people. Yeah, there you go. Maybe it'll be Dame, and they'll be 3.5 to 1, and people just can't believe that they're not that good. The Nets number has gone up a little bit. They are starting to play a little bit better. It looks like they're going to be maybe the 7 seed in that play-in tournament, so they have a pretty good shot at getting out of it. I'm not saying it's good value, but I am saying you can't write them off totally just yet.
Well, I'm not going to write them off. Go ahead, Devin. I'm interested to see what you have to say.
Yeah, I was going to say we'll see who they match up with, because I think that's the most important thing, because the Bucks are still fighting for that 2 seed. So do the Nets really want to get the 7 seed? We might see some gamesmanship this weekend to see teams try and get the matchup they want, because I definitely believe if the Nets see the Bucks get the number 2 seed, they will try to get the 8 seed.
But that's really interesting, Devin. But the tough part about that is, in order to get to 8, you have to purposely lose the first play-in game, and then now you've put your season on the line in one game. And you say, okay, we want the 8 because we want to face Miami instead of Milwaukee. Okay, but if let's say you now throw the game against Atlanta or whoever it is in the 7 versus 8 game, not that they would intentionally throw it, but maybe you just rest guys or whatever. Well, now you're facing Toronto or somebody, I don't know, with your season on the line. Let's say Toronto just catches fire from 3. There's a real risk factor there.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a risk, but when you got KD and Kyrie Irving, you got to believe they're going to win that one game they need to win to get in. So we'll see. I mean, it might not even happen that way. They may just play it out and just get whoever they get. But I can't believe, I wouldn't believe they will want to play the Bucks in the first round.
I will say this: the Nets
don't be a great matchup.
The Nets don't want to go to Toronto because I don't think Irving can play there.
Yeah, you may be right about that. That's an interesting point too. I don't know. I could definitely see teams in that 5-6 range. Like, hey, we're in anyway. Let's go ahead and get the matchup we want. If we're the Nuggets, we're going to avoid. You try to match up with Utah rather than Memphis or Golden State, right? Because Utah's maybe the more beatable team right now. But if you're in the play-in, man, you just got to get in. I don't know that you can play that game. That's a dangerous game there.
Yeah, I agree. They need to just try to get in. And I mean, hell, they almost beat the Bucks last year, and they came really close with them recently, and then Giannis just took over. So obviously, it wouldn't be ideal to have to face them, but it's not like the Bucks are so much better than them.
Problem is for the Nets, they struggle so much defensively in some of these games that you got to win games 130 to 125 every night. It makes it tough.
Yeah, no depth. Yeah, it's just too much on KD's shoulders. I mean, KD, he's still a top 5 player in the league, but he's no longer the best player in the game. Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid have all passed him, in my opinion.
Now, for the most ridiculous thing we've done all year, how's that for a tease? Next year's college basketball futures odds. We just finished up national championship Monday night. Kansas beat North Carolina at the Superdome. It was a great Final Four. Please, I don't say this often. This is for entertainment purposes only. Don't go betting on college basketball futures. We don't even know who's on the rosters yet. We don't know who's on the rosters yet. We don't know the tournament. I mean, but it is entertaining. I'm a little surprised Kansas is the favorite going into next year. But again, I don't know how you can even tell right now. Like Arkansas at 18 to 1 has the number 1 recruiting class with a bullet, like by far. So I kind of like where Arkansas is at, but I don't know. I mean, I just don't know how you handicap this, guys.
I will say this: 2 things. First off, Cubs win, which is the most important news of the day. All Second right. off, didn't we go? Have we gone into like the last 4 years like nobody's going to beat Gonzaga? I mean, so the fact that someone else other than Gonzaga is at the top of this list is the only thing I think that makes this interesting. But how could you bet on anybody right now? Like you said, Zach, we don't even know who's going to be where, who's going to sign with whom, who's going to go into the portal. I mean, it would be silly to bet this. But I'm glad in LSU 150-1. I mean, they might be. I think there's a 80% chance they're not even eligible to compete. So
yeah, no, I do too.
150-1 flyer on LSU.
They don't even have a full starting 5 yet of scholarship players. I think they have 3 scholarship players. And like you said, they could be staring down the barrel of a. Although if, and this is not bitter Missouri fan talking, I'm just being realistic. Kansas got its notice of allegations 2 years ago and is still playing. So it may take time before LSU gets any kind of a ban. I mean, so I don't know. Hell, the favorite on that list, Kansas may finally get its punishment from that NOA, and they're not eligible
you're only
for the postseason
hoping
next year. I am, but I'm also being. I mean, there's a legitimate chance that happens, right? And you would get your money back in that case, but you'd also let the sportsbook hold it for months on end until that happened. So
I know we're close to going off the show. I don't know if you guys saw, no joking, news of the day in Louisiana for sure. The LHSA has approved, get this, NILs are now acceptable in high school sports. Are we really going to use the face of high? I mean, I know this has nothing to do with gambling per se, but I mean, who knows? 10 years from now, we might be betting on high school basketball. I mean, if we're going to NILs in high school sports, which basically this is the LHSA doing what they always do. They're covering themselves up so they don't have to be part of any kind of legal action, because really in the grand scheme of things, that's the only thing they care about. But NILs in high school sports, that's what's next. We're going to be betting on high school sports soon. I'm telling you, it's coming.
Oh man, yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's too young to get those kids with NIL. I mean, it's like, they're gonna be. They're gonna be making it's one thing to be getting that in college, but with high school, and then with the way the egos are already out of control, that's just got disaster written all over it.
Wasn't LeBron a phenom when he was like 8th grade? I mean, let's just let him roll. They do NIL.
It's going to become a recruiting tactic too. I guarantee it. Where for years you have these shoe companies under the table,
100%.
like, hey, we're going to sponsor you as long as you go to an Adidas school or a Nike school or whatever it is. Now the NIL is going to be tied to recruiting, and so listen, everything's going to be out in the open and exposed. And also, if you don't think there's betting on high school games, Jim, you've covered enough high school events. You go to the top row of the bleachers, there's betting on high school games now. In some places.
At this point,
but I'm not that big of a degenerate.
I'm not saying I've done it, but I've seen it. I've seen it.
They might as well just make recruiting open and legal, and for all high schools, like even public schools. I feel like if they're going to allow NIL, it's like, well, then you got to just allow recruiting too at that point. If you've got NIL, then there's definitely going to be there already is under the table recruiting. It's just going to get way worse.
This is a mess. We got to get Robin Famber on here to talk about this and have a show.
I have to be careful what I say, because I still do play-by-play for high school sports, so I'll just leave it at no comment.
Yeah, I'm gonna shut up myself, because it can get bad.
All right. On that note, let's get back to the legal degenerate action.
The legal
Masters. The Masters is that's a slogan in there.
The legal degeneration of sports events.
Yeah. Well, listen, people have always bet on sports. They always will, whether it's just out in the open now. Cam Smith, Sung J M, Dustin Johnson still tied for the lead at Augusta, all 4 under, followed by Danny Willett, Joaquin Neiman, Scotty Scheffler, and Will Zalatoris. Followed at 2 under by Jason Kokrak, Corey Connors, and Brooks Koepka. So all 10 of those guys within 2 shots of the lead. And some guy named Tiger is in the group at 1 under, 3 shots back. So there's a lot to look forward to this weekend. We got more baseball tonight. Let's do final thoughts. Devin, we didn't give us an extended final thought, Devin. We didn't give you the floor a lot today.
Wow, I'm put on the spot here, but no, I'm just excited that everything's starting to ramp up here. Got baseball season kicked off today. Got NBA playoffs right around the corner. Obviously, the Masters going on this this week. Got a nice couple weeks of sports action going on, just stemming from the national championship, and now we get into the full spring sports, and can get into the playoff time NBA. So it's a good time. There's no not too much of a lull. Then later this month we got NFL draft, so it's going to be a busy month of sports heading into May, and it's really going to start ramping up from there.
Spencer, what you got?
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of Devin there. There's a lot going on. Really excited about it. NFL draft, I'm not gonna lie, that's what I'm most excited about. I still love my baseball, diehard Cardinals fan, but football is king right now. It's year round, and the draft coming up. Really interested to see what the Saints do with those 2 picks, or if they're gonna try to do something more. I'm thinking they stay put at 16 and 19 and grab a left tackle and a wide receiver. I don't see them trading up for a one player, and definitely not a quarterback. I think the quarterback talk's silly, but I just hope they can hit on those picks and use that to build around Jameis and company.
Jim Derry, Nick's got a thought for you.
I was going to say, Nick and I agree on something. Yeah, the undefeated season is still intact. And better yet, my baseballs, I start off 1-0 betting baseball, bet on the Cubs today. So they had a good chance. They beat them last year on opening day. And Kyle Hendricks, they beat him again. My final thought is football is still king. And tomorrow on Datitude, Amy, Justin, and I will be talking about some of the things that Spencer just mentioned. We'll talk about this trade that they made earlier in the week that kind of got lost in the championship game shuffle. We'll be talking about what possibly the Saints will do on draft day coming up. And personally, it seems logical that they would take a tackle and a wide receiver in the draft, but hardly anything is ever scripted, goes according to script. So I would say I would take the field. I mean, it makes the most sense to take a tackle and a wide receiver. I'll bet the field that they do something else.
The Saints have not picked what anyone mocked them to pick, like in the entire Mickey Loomis era. So I don't know why they would start. Like, nobody can ever guess
Not
what
gonna
they're
happen.
Gonna do on draft
I
night.
think with Marshawn Lattimore, I think a lot of people had mocked, but he was when they had a pretty high pick. So anytime.
So one out of almost 20. Then so
you're right.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. You know what would make this sense? And I said earlier in the week that I didn't think this trade. I don't want to say that it did make sense. That's a little bit too strong. I think the Eagles certainly got the better end of this trade. But what would make it better for the Saints is if they find a way, if it gets towards their pick and someone's desperate to trade up, and then they trade one of these picks and get basically what they gave away and a little bit more, then it could really make sense, because when you got 2 picks in the first round, you have a lot of collateral. So maybe there's some thinking there that we don't know what's going on, that Mick Loomis is wheeling and dealing or betting on draft night that something's going to pop up and he's going to have the goods, and it's going to cost a little bit more on draft night than it cost 3 weeks before the draft.
That's one possibility, but for me, it's pretty simple. The trade is worth it if the Saints make the playoffs next year and their pick is in the last 10 picks or whatever of the round. Then they didn't give up that much. Now that's a risk, because if you miss the playoffs, if you don't hit on these draft picks, or you don't get value back, like you were saying, Jim, then you've given up a lot. Then you've given up a top 15 pick next year, and that's when this trade becomes trouble for me. So it's a risk, but I think it tells me, just like I said on Monday, they're going to be better.
The Saints are going for it on 4th and 2 from their own 35 with 3 minutes to go in the first half, right, Devin?
That's why Jim
doesn't want to say anything.
That's why Jim doesn't like the trade. Hey, my final thought will be this: in baseball, if you're looking to bet day to day, I like betting on the underdog. What price you get the Cubs at today, Jim?
Got them at I believe it was 185.
Yeah, I mean, look, baseball above all other sports, stuff just happens in single games. It just does. Bullpens blow leads, balls hit the base and turn into doubles. Guy barely foul tips a ball out of the catcher's mitten, hits a home run on the next pitch. Like, things happen in baseball that they don't happen in other sports, and you're better off betting on the dogs. You're not going to win all the time, but that's how you turn a plus EV in baseball betting. You bet on the favorites, you're gonna be in trouble more often than not because they won't win enough to justify it.
Especially home dogs.
Yeah, there you go. So that's my final thought. This has been At the Book for Thursday, April the 7th, opening day of baseball, the Masters. We'll be back on Monday. We'll wrap up a glorious weekend on Bayou Bets. Catch us at 4 o'clock. Until then, for our producer, Devin Jackson, Spencer the Guru Urquhart is bottom left on your screen. Jim Derry's top left, and I'm Zach Ewing. We'll see you next time, everybody.